Hi everyone, welcome back to Lifting the Lamp, and tonight I'm going to be doing another video on the Kabbalah. This is talking about the concept of the four worlds that we find in the Kabbalah. Four different levels or perhaps dimensions of manifestation from the very highest to the lowest, which sort of sits on top of the scheme of the 10 sephiroth of the Tree of Life, to explain how the myriad things of existence unfolded themselves from pure divinity. And everything in the universe progresses through the four worlds to move from being something that is more or less just an idea, or not even that, to becoming something physical in the material world. And so everything has an aspect to it that belongs to one of these four worlds. And if you haven't seen my other videos on the Kabbalah, I would recommend that you at least watch my videos on the Tree of Life before watching this one for some all-important context. The Tree of Life is obviously going to feature quite heavily in this video. And I'm going to be talking about the 10 sephiroth that appear on the Tree of Life. So to begin with, let me just explain what the four worlds are in the Kabbalah. The four worlds are known as Atziluth, the highest of the worlds, followed by Briah, followed then by Yetzirah, and followed finally by Assiah. In my previous videos I spoke about how the infinite divine, the highest, purest form of divinity in the form of infinite light, exists in the three veils of negative existence. Ein Sof, and Ein Sof Or. In that realm which is above even the highest of the 10 sephiroth, Keter, in the unmanifest, before even the spiritual worlds are manifest. But what happens is, from the infinite comes the manifest. That's the beginning of the sephiroth on the Tree of Life. It's also the beginning of the manifestation of the four worlds, starting with the world of Atziluth, which is closest to pure divinity. So Atziluth is known as the world of emanation. Emanation is to be understood as something different to creation. Creation is the beginning of something new that is a distinct thing, separate from that which created it, the creator. Whereas an emanation extends from something while still remaining a part of it. And so, in the same way, in the world of emanations, everything that exists is simultaneously just an extension of the one divinity, of unified divine being. Everything that manifests in Atziluth manifests as a mere spark of a greater concept, whether it's a flash of inspiration for an idea, or more broadly speaking, the initial cause that will be at the root of a new thing coming into being eventually. In the world of Atziluth, there are no ideas or concepts as such yet. The spark, the initial causes that exist in Atziluth will eventually grow to become concepts, but they're not at that point yet. They are emanations. If you think of the emanation of light from the sun, the rays of the sun extend from out of it. They seem to be separate things from the sun, but they are in fact one and the same, a part of that sun. If you see a simple picture of the sun, the circle with the rays around the edge, you consider the rays part of the sun. And those sun rays, those rays of light, are of the same substance as the sun itself. And so they don't exist outside of being a part of something greater. And it is said that any beings that reside in the world of Atziluth are so close to God's light and so dazzled by it that they've got no idea of their own independent existence and their own independence from that God. So that is the level of manifestation that we find at Atziluth. As things move further away from divinity, we then enter into Briah, the world of creation. This is the world of ideas and concepts in the most abstract sense. However, these ideas don't really have a form as such yet. They haven't taken on any sort of organization or structure or sequence. They're just pure ideas. And they are the expansion of the initial spark or seed of a concept that we first found in Atziluth. So this is the beginning of concepts which are specific and distinct from the whole of which they are a part, but the distinction between things is still very vague. And so it is said that any beings that live in the world of Briah, although they have some vague awareness of their own independent consciousness, are still very taken in awe of the light of the divine, and still feel a very strong sense of oneness with that presence. And their sense of separateness and individuation is very weak. Next down from the world of Briah, we have the world of Yetzirah. This is the world of formation. Now the idea or concept that originated in Briah starts to take on a form. It starts to take on contours, a specific kind of a shape. It starts to enter into a kind of sequence with other ideas. It starts to form interrelationships with other ideas. It starts to become systematized in all these other ideas. We see something of a structure starting to emerge and organize all the various concepts in creation. And then finally, the next level of manifestation down from Yetzirah is Assiah. This is the world of action. This is the world where things are finally manifest into physical reality. There is a bit of a spiritual dimension to Assiah as well, but it's mostly physicality. The idea is acted upon. What was just an idea now takes on a physical form and becomes fully realized in the material world. And so we have an end to the process of manifestation. And that is how, according to the Kabbalists, the divine light unfolded itself into denser and denser levels of manifestation to arrive at our physical world. You might still be a bit confused. This is a very abstract and advanced concept within Kabbalah, but there is a useful metaphor that has been presented by Lon Milo Duquette to try and explain the four worlds further by using the example of building a house. So if a person were to build a house, first they would have a flash of inspiration about, I want to build this house, and no other thought or intuition will have entered their mind. That initial flash, that initial spark, that is the world of Atziluth. That is manifestation in the world of Atziluth. Next, the person would start to think more about what this house might look like and tease out this idea, where they might want to build it, how many rooms it might have, etc. And so we start to have the beginning of a concept or concepts surrounding this house. And now the manifestation has entered into the world of Briah. Next, the person might develop a blueprint for the house, which shows in very great detail how everything is going to be laid out in a very fixed and definite fashion. But the house itself has not yet been built. There's simply a blueprint. This corresponds to the world of formation, the world of Yetzirah. And then finally, when the house itself has been constructed, that represents manifestation being completed as it enters into the world of Assiah, or action, or the physical world. So that's the four worlds. But as you would know if you've studied a bit of Kabbalah before, There's another diagram, another schema that the Kabbalists have to explain the manifestation of the physical world from the divine in various stages, and that's the tree of life. So we've got the tree of life over here, we've got the four worlds over here. How do these two schemas interact? Well, there's a useful diagram that the Kabbalists have developed that's known as Jacob's ladder. And this is a reference to the book of Genesis, where Jacob is asleep and he is awoken by a dream or a vision of a great ladder extending up to heaven from the earth. And angels are moving up and down the ladder, representing the movement of energy and manifestation from the divine down to the physical and back up again, along the paths of the tree through the dimensions of the four worlds. And what the diagram of Jacob's ladder seeks to demonstrate is that the 10 sephiroth manifest themselves from Keter down to Malkut, but then they have to unfold themselves a little bit further each time in the next world and the next world after that, so that the unfoldment of all the myriad things in the sephiroth repeats itself a total of 4 times in each of the 4 worlds. So this is the formula that Kabbalists use to understand how everything in creation came into being. The other way that the tree of life interacts with the 4 worlds schema is that in each of the 4 worlds, a certain sephirah or certain sephiroth are the predominant influence, in the same way as a certain planet might be the dominant planet of a particular star sign. In Atziluth, the predominant sephirah is Chokmah. In Briah, the predominant sephirah is Binah. In Yetzirah, the predominant sephiroth are all the sephiroth from Chesed down to Yesod. And in Assiah, Malkut. So Chokmah as the sphere that is associated with the Logos, with the first breath that brought all things into existence, is of course associated with Atziluth, because Atziluth represents that initial spark, that initial emanation from pure divinity, as represented by Keter. Binah is the sephirah that represents the Great Mother. It can be considered like the womb that gestates everything in existence. Of course, that which gestates in the womb has not yet been born. And so it's a fitting analogy for the concepts in Briah that are still in the very early stages of manifestation and are still not quite distinct from the all, even as the sphere of Binah is said to be a great ocean that encompasses everything. Everything from Chesed down to Yesod is very much symbolism and archetypes and forms and ideas, which is very appropriate to Yetzirah. And Malkut is of course the physical world, so it's very appropriate that it should be associated with the world of Assiah. So in the Kabbalah, one of the main symbols is also the 4-lettered name of God, or the Tetragrammaton, Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, being the 4 Hebrew letters making up the name. And each of the 4 letters of the great 4-lettered name are attributed to one of these 4 worlds, which in turn are also attributed to one of the 10 sephiroth. So Yod, representing the first impulse of creation, is of course in Chokmah, and can therefore be associated with Atziluth. The first Hey of the name is associated with Binah, the Great Mother, to the father of Yod, God the Father, and so of course it's associated as well with Briah. The letter Vav is in Tifereth, the center of the tree. Tifereth represents human conscious awareness, human individuality, the beginning of us really being able to think about who we are and what we are. And so the sphere of Tifereth is also very associated with the Kabbalistic part of the soul known as the Ruach, which in modern Kabbalah is associated with the human intellect. So very appropriate correspondence to the world of formation in Yetzirah. And the final Hey in the four-lettered name can be found in Assiah, in the physical world. And so the four-lettered name of God can also be seen as a shorthand for the process of creation itself. There are other associations between the four worlds and what are known as the parts of the soul in Kabbalah, but the parts of the soul is a pretty hefty kind of topic which deserves a video in its own right, so I'll do that another time. So that is how you can understand the four worlds of the Kabbalah, and that is how the four worlds interact with other parts of the system of Kabbalah and the way that it tries to organize our knowledge of the universe and how it came into being, unfolding from divinity. So I hope that that was useful to you. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy my other videos on the Kabbalah. If you did enjoy it, please like the video, subscribe to support my work, and subscribe also to my Odyssey account. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.